Hi everyone. So I created a spreadsheet that enables you to determine whether the job that you're thinking about pursuing in the future will pay you enough based on where you plan to live and the sort of family, if any, that you have or hope to have in the future. Obviously, plans change, but that alone isn't a reason not to have a plan. By the way, if you're a student of mine, you can find a copy of the spreadsheet on D2L. Just go to the miscellaneous module. Otherwise, feel free to contact me and I'd be happy to send you a copy. You can start by entering your expected income in this cell right over here. To determine this number, you might want to view data from the Occupational Outlook Handbook, which is provided by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. After you click on the link, you'll be directed to the Handbook's website, which provides information on practically every job imaginable. Let's say you want to be a financial advisor. In that case, you just type in personal financial advisor. There we go. And then look for the median pay for this profession. Scroll down and you'll see that the median pay is $87,850. Also note the job outlook, which tells you the average growth rate for this particular job. If it's below the average, then there may be greater competition for the fewer jobs that will be available by the time you graduate. This isn't necessarily to say that you shouldn't pursue this job, but I want you to be mindful of the potential risks. Thankfully, though, this particular job is growing faster than the national average. Now, let's take note of the median pay and then put the value here. Note, of course, that this is the median pay. In other words, half of the people in this profession make more than this amount and half make less. There's no guarantee that you'll actually make this amount. The next step is to choose where you want to live. This is important because the cost of living varies dramatically based on where you live. I highly recommend visiting the Living Wage Calculator website, for which I provided a link. This is a very useful website created by Amy Glassmeyer, a professor at MIT. It provides cost of living estimates for practically everywhere in the country. Let's say your dream is to move to New York City. I wouldn't recommend that, but that's just me. So let's just put in New York City. There we go. What you want to do now is scroll down to the typical expenses table. Be sure to choose the specific type of family that you want to have, or that you want to have in the future. Let's suppose that that family is or consists of 2 adults, 1 adult working, 1 child. So we will scroll down to see what the required annual income before taxes is. So that is nearly $60,000. So we'll copy this number and paste it in the relevant cell. There we go. The monthly income will be automatically calculated. Now, would you make enough money given your chosen family, location, and job? Well, in order to answer this question, I present 2 different tables that correspond to 2 different plans for distributing your income. The first plan is popularly called the 50-30-20 plan. According to this particular plan, 50% of your income would go towards your immediate material needs, like housing, food, and so on. The remaining 50% is sometimes ignored. Sometimes we think that so long as your income exceeds the cost of living, you're good. But we forget about other expenditures that we take for granted, such as dining out or bringing home a surprise gift for one's child. We also forget about saving for the future. I read somewhere that most of us have less than $1,000 stashed away, while 45% of us have nothing saved. What will we do when unexpected expenses crop up, as they certainly will? Having, I hope, convinced you of the importance of looking beyond the essentials, let's see what the rest of this plan calls for. After allotting half of our income to material needs, to immediate material needs, 30% would go to non-essential wants, and 20% would go to savings. Now, these cells tell us whether we'd be able to make enough money to meet our basic immediate material needs. Whether we're saving enough or have enough pleasure money is based on other considerations that I don't have the time to answer in this short video. But as you can see here, you would not make enough money, unfortunately. In fact, you need to make an additional $1,300 just in order to make ends meet. So you would have to change one or more of your key parameters. You may need to pursue another higher paying job or live somewhere less expensive. Now, the 40, 30, 20, 10 plan adds tiding to the list of categories right over here. This is, of course, specifically relevant to my Christian students. So if this doesn't apply to you, then you can just simply ignore the remainder of this video. So if your goal is to devote 10% or some other share of your income to your church, this particular plan will tell you how much you'd end up giving. In this case, $732 per month. And since less of your income is devoted to immediate material needs, you'll find that you'd fall shorter than you would under the 50-30-20 plan. Specifically, you'd be over $2,000 in the red. This doesn't mean, by the way, that you should give less or nothing to your church. It just means, as with the other 50-30-20 plan, that you'll need to change one of your key parameters in order to successfully implement this particular plan. In either of these plans, you can change the percentages, by the way. With the 50-30-20 plan, you can spend 75% on needs and 12.5% on both wants and savings. And in this case, you would, in this particular scenario, be able to meet your immediate material needs. Just make sure that they add up to 100%. Of course, if you do this, if you mess around with the weights, it would no longer be called the 50-30-20 plan, obviously. My advice, for what it's worth, is to be cautious when deviating from this plan. For many of you, unfortunately, the 50-30-20 plan might not be realistic, at least in your first years after graduating from college. But arguably, it's a goal to aspire to. This 40-30-20-10 plan might be worth aspiring to if you are among my Christian students. I hope that this presentation was understandable and helpful, and I genuinely wish all of you happiness and success. Thank you.